Okay, I asked a question to on attractions and aversions, and I wanted to do first of all attractions and aversions to fast prayer because I know some people are doing fast prayer. So there's an aversion. There's an aversion and not wanting to do fast prayer, both in not starting the fast prayer, not enduring with the fast prayer, and also having thoughts from the ego and the collective ego arise to distract into sort of fantasy and off topic. So you're trying to do your fast prayer, and then you're spending 10 minutes thinking about going on Amazon or something, or meeting a friend or something like that, and then you remember, oh, I should be fast praying, and you get back on. So there would be a huge aversion. So you could, so there's an attraction to the aversions. There's a payoff in the aversions still, and they can be surrendered. Like I surrendered God my aversion to starting fast prayer. I surrendered to God, actually, it would be an attraction to distractions during fast prayer. And I surrendered God my attraction to sabotaging my fast prayer and pray to God for forgiveness, transcendence, and miracles. So those would be things to do with fast prayer. So generally, I think most people in 12-step fellowships are very, very keenly aware of the attractions, which are the addictions, the addiction to food, the addiction to alcohol, drugs, pornography, sex, TV, attraction to drama, arguments, um, yeah, the attraction to the lower fields of consciousness, being in anger, fear, resentment, guilt, shame, apathy. So those are, I think, most people trust that. But the aversions, I think people are less aware of the aversions, which is surrendering the aversion to unpleasant things happening and allowing them to be experienced. So I surrender get my aversion to feeling my feelings and praying to God for forgiveness, transfer. When there's an aversion, I'll try and avoid it at all costs. Because you can tell, especially with spiritual practice, the aversion. If there's something you really don't want to do spiritually, whether it's fast prayer, feel the feelings, or whatever it is, then it's something that would be very, very ego deflating. The ego avoids it at all costs. Like, I'm definitely not going to sit with my feelings. I'd rather, it will do anything. It will do taxes. It will clean the house. It will do anything but not sit with my feelings. I'll do anything else that's useful, but not that. Or fast prayer. Well, fast prayer, not allowing my time just to wander in my thinking. I'd rather clean the toilet, scrub the floor, do the dishes. So you can tell the ego's really like frantically trying to do anything and to avoid those. So those are aversions. So I surrender God my aversion to starting fast prayer. I surrender God my aversion to sitting with my feelings. So there's that. But there's also, the classical aversions which I got from Hawkins is there's a few things like pain, illness, also the aversion to death, the aversion to all those kind of things, which I think the aversion to deadly situations would be a good example. Would be Dr. Hawkins and the snake. So most people would run out the shed when suddenly there's a rattlesnake in front of you. But he just stood there and went into a field of enlightenment. And if you hear him in many lectures, he's okay to die. If it's his time to go, that's fine. Whether he's in a car about burning, whether a snake's about to bite him, no problem. There's not that aversion there. He'll go straight in and accept the situation. If it's time to go, it's time to go. So there's no aversion there. No aversion to, I mean, he's probably one of the most advanced, probably the most advanced person I had the privilege to meet that can go into an operation where they're cutting things off without anesthetic and experience it, really feel it, as opposed to like avoid it at all costs. So that's the surrendering the aversion to pain, surrendering the aversion to, it could be like suffocation, not being able to breathe, the aversion to, all kinds of agonies. So everyone tries to take, avoid them, put on the TV, eat some donuts, run away, take some drugs, whatever it is. So it's just to withdrawal is another one, a classic one. Not willing to sit with unpleasant feelings of giving up food, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is. So there's an aversion to that, so you can surrender to God. My aversion to going through withdrawal with food, drugs, alcohol, sex, porn, whatever it is, and pray to God forgiveness, transcendence, miracles. So you're willing to go through that which your ego's trying to avoid at all costs, and try and do anything else except those high leverage spiritual activities. So those are the aversions, but also the aversions are like when things go wrong in life, the plumbing goes, the toilet breaks, suddenly someone's stolen your money from your bank account, um, and there's an aversion to experiencing the feelings that go on with that. Like, one will suddenly eat some donuts, put on the TV, take some drugs or whatever, but doesn't want to really experience the sudden experience. Oh my God, the whole house is flooded. Oh my God, whatever's happened, the car's broken down or whatever it is. So those are aversions, and you can, it's just the capacity. I've certainly got my aversion to being and experiencing catastrophes when they occur in life. I pray to God forgiveness to say, so there's nothing in the world that can happen or whatever it is that will phase you to face it with courage and not to run away or distract. So those are the aversions, and I think a lot of people when I'm speaking to people like want a magic painkiller, like and I think spirituality is a thing of praying for miracles, for sure, and forgiveness, which does bring in miracles for sure. But also, the part of spirituality is being able to take things in life and not sort of try and avoid them and to experience them. So I think that's one that a lot of spiritual people are less aware of. So attraction space. So you can surrender them. You can also do mental preparation. I did mental preparation. If you're gonna, the next time there's going to be a thing that you have to go through, you sort of prepare that you're not going to back down. You're going to go through. I think I've had spectacular. I mean, I've had the spectacular experience where I had to have an emergency needle the length of my arm plunge into my thing because I thought I was about to have a heart attack. So, I mean, this needle is literally the length of an arm, and I didn't resist. And I was going into bliss, and everyone thought I was having a diabetic coma or something, which I wasn't. I was just actually they were trying to wake me up, unfortunately. Otherwise, I would have probably been very happy to go into bliss or leave the body or something at that point. And yeah, I've had lots of miracles just by experiencing pain and not backing down. Uh, After the operation, my transplant operation, I refused the morphine after the general and took the pain. It was very, very severe. And I remember the doctor said to me that my recovery was one of the fastest he'd ever seen. And he sort of commented, he didn't take any painkillers. And I knew that the recovery without taking the painkillers of the body was, much, much faster than most of the other patients, which are just morphined up after the operation. So the body can heal and miracles occur if I don't take the easy option out. So that's facing the aversions and not taking the magic pill or the magic distraction. That can work. Uh, the more advanced stuff is what Hawkins says with attractions, and that's where you get to surrendering bliss and ecstasy and not trying to hang on to those. So as you go deeper. So once you get to the mystical states, you want to also be willing to surrender. I think there's a explanation I think Hawkins gave in one of the ends of the books in his sort of story, which are sort of tagged at the end of I think the appendixes, yeah. And he did talk in detail about the giving up of the ecstasy, which is really interesting. So ecstasy is one of those ones you don't really want to give up because it's sublime being in a state of ecstasy constantly. And I think he said it was great. He didn't really talk about it much, but he would lose the ecstasy and it would be really horrific for him. And then he'd have to sort of get his way back in. And then I think he realized he had to surrender the payoff of ecstasy. And that led him to the next level. So I think those are very, very advanced things, not to hang on to anything. And I got from Hawkins, whatever you got, I mean, everyone wants to let go of the negative stuff, but letting go of the positive stuff to go deeper into more evolved infinite states. I think that's probably what a lot of I think spiritual students for enlightenment and Hawkins need to be aware. It's like you're not going to hang out, be willing even to surrender bliss and ecstasy to go deeper for the love of God and for the alignment with God and the death of the ego. So and yep, so I think that's all I can think of for today. So I'll stop there on that video.